All right. I want to do a little bit more participation from the audience. I think last year I asked the question exactly a year ago, who's using AI on a daily basis? But now I think the question is, raise your hand if you're not using AI on a daily basis. Two people. So that's the audience that we have right now, and I would imagine it's an audience that's similar watching online. I think it's fair to say that everybody watching and here knows United Airlines and what United Airlines does. Everybody knows what Verizon does. So Amit, I'm going to put you in the hot seat and just have you explain how people in this room might have interacted with ServiceNow without actually even knowing they were interacting with it.
Yeah, no, first, thanks for having me here, and hello, everyone. So ServiceNow, probably if you do anything with IT or technology requests inside your company, ServiceNow was the heritage company in terms of helping case management and any kind of ticketing systems. But it's pretty much a platform for automation. So anything you want to run inside, request or get help, ServiceNow is a platform usually every company uses today. And we probably have 80% of Fortune 2000 companies using ServiceNow. And a lot of times, as you said, you might not realize it, but most of the back end is using ServiceNow.
Would you say that you're using AI more internally or externally for clients who are using the product right now?
I think both. I mean, internally for sure, we've been using AI in our products. We use it internally based on the products we have built. But our customers today, we have a huge amount of investment around AI. We will be probably $1 billion revenue on AI products by next year, which is AI specific. So we've been investing aggressively in AI, and our customers are really adopting it very quickly as well.
Christina, come on in here. At Verizon, I know you oversee talent people, so that's your purview. But as a Verizon customer, how am I actually interacting with AI on the back end? Might not know it.
I think there's a lot of ways. I think first, the obvious is the people that you talk to are leveraging AI to serve you as best they can.
So customer service or salespeople or all of the above?
Even the way that we recruit them to get them to a place to talk to you is leveraging AI. And
what do you mean by that?
So I'll give you an example. We hire 20,000 people a year at Verizon. We get 900,000 resumes, 60,000 interviews, 200,000 assessments. It's impossible.
Repeat those numbers.
900,000 resumes a year. 60,000 interviews a year, 200,000 assessments, 20,000 jobs a year we hire. So it's impossible to do all of that at the speed in which we need people in our stores or on our trucks without an AI as an enabler in order to support that process. And so even before you talk to anyone on the phone or in our store or in your home, to get them to that place, we've leveraged AI in a heck of a lot of ways. Including training and getting them onboarded and up to speed. And so we've got lots and lots of examples of the enablement of our workforce that stems from embedding AI in the processes.
We're going to get to some of those in a few minutes. Stacey, I want to bring you in here. At United, I think a lot of people are familiar with the United mobile app. That's not what you oversee, but some of the experiences that people have when they're flying or within the mobile app.
Yeah.
Is in your purview. Explain what those are.
Yeah, totally. Well, maybe we zoom out for a minute. We now fly over 500,000 people a day. There's some days now where there's 600,000 customers traveling with us. We have grown tremendously. We have over 1,000 aircraft, thousands of flights a day. And the industry is growing. And so I like to just lay down the gauntlet and say, we actually are an optimization dream everywhere you look. In fact, the industry and United is getting so big, it's going to get tougher and tougher to operate without this technology capability. And so traditional AI and machine learning has been in our DNA for a long time, almost a decade. It's something that's just been important to us, our secret sauce. But today, with generative AI, and over the last couple of years, there were a few things we saw that were really compelling. One, it speaks so many languages. Two, it understands accents. Three, the nuance of language. Speed matters in our industry. And yet, culturally, aviation has always been a little bit about waiting. You go to the lobby to wait in line. You go to the gate to wait. There's a little bit of this cultural acceptance that when you call during really busy times, like weather, you might have to wait. And we are challenging all those norms. We want to be different, and we see this as a way to begin to do that, especially when you're interacting with our customer support and advocacy group. They've made it their mission to help you, but have speed to service with high quality. And these tools, taking the research out, leaves them with the things that they're best at: travel and caring about you.
So the whole takeaway that we want from this afternoon is return on investment, how you're making sure that you're saving money, you're using AI in an affordable way, you're deploying these tools in a way that actually makes sense to the bottom line, because we've heard so much about how much is being invested. Amit, talk to us about that and what you've been able to do at ServiceNow, not just internally, but externally too, and tell us how much you've saved, where you've saved the money, what it's done to headcount. Give us the numbers there.
No, I think we definitely have been very aggressive about using AI, especially agentic AI, the idea of having automation with AI agents to really improve how you run and operate every part of our business. And that includes starting with customer service. And you talked about how you're using it for customer asking for questions. Today, we have a case volume, I would say, has gone up by 40%. The business has grown very fast over the last 2 years. And my headcount for customer service team is pretty flat. And and also the retention rate of the customer service team is probably much better than it used to be a couple of years ago, because it's much easier for them to manage and maintain the kind of quality required by our customers. Because there's a lot of self-service improvements happening. Be able to answer questions in a much more better way, in a timely way, and solve a lot of those things. It's not just giving the answers back, but actioning that solution and getting that work done in the back end to fix that problem and get that resolved through AI agents has been really, really valuable. We probably deflect around 75% of our case volume now, which has become much more self-service, and the idea of just getting everything done without having to call and talk to people.
How do you know that that's working for the customer, though?
Because our CSATs are going up, right? So we do measure a lot of our NPI scores as well as CSAT, and most of the customers tell us, one, the accuracy is better, second, the timeliness, as well as to be able to kind of also find information which you might have not asked for, where these AI services are able to give you that kind of insights. Hey, this is what you need going forward as well. So I think the way we measure it is really CSAT, as well as the amount of customer getting live faster, right? So if I see a customer who's bought a software, if it takes them historically 3 to 4 months to go live, if we were able to get them done in 1.5 months to 2 months, that's a much better return on investment for our customers. And we see that back to us in a customer CSAT as well. So,
Christina, jump in.
Please.
No.
Christina, I was going to say that a big part of your job is to deploy these tools to a large number of people from a training perspective. And I think one thing that I've noticed, just in my own experience about these tools being rolled out, is that they're sort of adopted in a lumpy way, in the sense of, okay, well, if we have this enterprise version of an LLM that's approved, you have to go through a training to do it, you have to use the approved version, and then, or you could just use Perplexity on your phone and maybe come up with the same results. How do you do this? How do you get buy-in from folks internally and culturally?
Yeah, I'm going to give you an answer that's a little bit of a spin on training and more focused on development, because I've got an example that gets to all the pieces of your question. So we, like other organizations, have significant technology investments in platforms and systems for HR. And they work really great if there's data in them. And we've got job data, we've got employee data, we've got organizational hierarchy data, but what was missing is the individual skills, experience, and kind of resume data for our people. And so we spend hundreds of millions of dollars on these platforms, but they're not being optimized for their fullest value if they don't work to their fullest value. And so with all the buy-in campaigns and change management campaigns, I couldn't get our employee population to upload information into their profile greater than 5% of our population. And we did a lot of great communications and fun, jazzy stuff like everybody else. But you know what they do update is LinkedIn. And everything on the internet is available information that would be super helpful if it was in my system. And so what we did was use AI to pull all publicly scrapable data and infuse it into my employee profiles, 65,000 employee profiles. And we asked the employees, how accurate is it? 90% plus accurate. Then we allowed generative AI to give us inferences around skills and experiences and suggestions around our employees for open jobs or capability gaps, to start over 75% accurate and getting smarter and smarter as we continue to make these things work. So the ROI there is really threefold. First, we are optimizing our tech investments that we've already made. Second, we really are enabling our employees to feel more empowered around the career development that they choose. So they will get nudges for jobs they didn't know they're qualified for. They will get suggestions for training based on the interests that they have as far as a career path. And so the employee engagement, the retention significantly went up. Internal mobility, so people moving across different job families and really expanding their skill set and really taking control of their career, up 10% in the first month of turning this on. And then when I think about it from an executive perspective or a talent perspective, the supply-demand ratio is not favorable for me for hot jobs. It is really silly to think that I will have all of the people I need in the most in-demand jobs when I need them and beat everybody else in the market. But what I do know, though, is now where there are untapped resources and capabilities within my workforce that I didn't even know existed, because I didn't have the data that showed me how qualified, capable, and skilled my employees are. So now my team can re-recruit and we can redeploy based on business needs in a really fast way. And so the wins here are for our employees from a workforce planning and an executive business perspective, and then also from a let's protect the tech that we've already invested in and let the tools work to their most optimal way.
Stacey, I want to bring you in and talk a little bit about aircraft maintenance, because anyone who knows me knows I love talking about planes. And when you and I spoke a few weeks ago, you said that there are sometimes up to 50,000 different parts in an airplane. And one thing that you do as Vice President of Digital Tech at United is deploy technology across United Airlines to help make the maintenance of these aircraft more seamless. And you were telling me before this that you're often traveling to different parts of the country to United hubs and actually visiting the maintenance facilities. How does technology make it so that we as customers are experiencing fewer delays as a result of making sure that your team is proactive about what needs to be addressed on a certain aircraft?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. See, we're unveiling like how complicated an industry it is. We all work for really complicated industries, and that's what's so great about this tech. I can give you an example. You know, you think about a tire. That's a part everybody knows. A tire. Well, what do tires do on your car? They wear, and eventually you need to get a new tire, right? Well, the same thing happens on a tire on an aircraft. But now we have the ability to predict, you know, based on a bunch of criteria, and of course over the lens of a technician, how is the tire doing and when will it naturally need to be replaced? And oh, by the way, where is that aircraft flying? And do they have tires? Hot weather, because tires wear out when it's hot. I think we know that in Atlanta. Do they have technicians, the people, the tooling to do it? And so often we can now say it's actually more cost effective to change the tire today in Chicago once we're done flying versus take that aircraft with that tire on its next few segments and wait for, you know, the clock to be up of, hey, now it's time to do it. And so those are the incredible things that we're doing at the airline and we're thinking about to decrease what you talked about. We don't like delays. We want everybody to get where they're going.
But if their plane is delayed, there's a way for an aircraft to be held at maybe you're flying to a hub to make a connection, and the app will automatically tell you whether or not you're going to make that connection.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's so many other things beyond the part that we're doing. Things like our wonderful operations teams, they have tools that help them figure out, can they swap the aircraft? Can they swap it with an aircraft that's supposed to leave later? So that allows us to do the maintenance work, and we have enough, a bigger time window. We have amazing tools like Connection Saver, which came from, my understanding is, a pilot's idea where he said, I watch customers run up to the gate. I can see them through the window in the airport, and we just closed the door, and then we waited. Like, surely someone can do something about this and knows, do we really have to go now, or do we have 10 more minutes? And yeah, we tell our customers, and that's where Every Flight Has a Story comes in, where, we'll send messages to customers when flights are delayed now, and they're more and more curated for that particular flight because of what's happening with generative AI. We call it Every Flight Has a Gen AI Story now. And we'll actually tell customers, we're holding your flight for other customers so they can make their connection. And the crazy thing is, when that group gets on the plane, everyone claps. Like, everyone is happy for that group.
I never see those videos go viral.
Oh, we'll send you some.
Okay. But I want to back out a little bit and talk big picture here, because a big part of the conversation, or a theme that has been like a thread of the themes today, have really been about security.
Yeah.
And I think anybody who knows, played with LLMs, understand hallucinations and garbage in, garbage out. You're only as good as the data that this stuff is trained on. If you're doing this at a high level for customers that have high expectations, and humans are not overrated, humans are underrated, how do you make sure that what you provide to them and what you provide to your team is right?
Yeah. No, it's a very, very critical question, especially for enterprises, right? So if you're deploying any of this technology, one, you want to guarantee it's secured. There's a risk management, compliance, all those things come into play. So what we do today, we have on the product side, we ensure a lot of prompt engineering and testing happens before any of our services go live. And then on top of that, there's a lot of measurement which happens through a central control. We have a product called AI Control Tower. The idea behind that is to register any kind of AI agents which you might be using inside your organization, not just from ServiceNow, but third party, and auto-discover them. We used to do that very well for any kind of hardware and software deployment inside any company. And now we're adding AI agents to the same kind of mindset. So if you kind of go and discover them and track any kind of interaction you've had with it, in terms of the life cycle, versioning, any kind of access, what changes did you make, who was the provider, all that capabilities are captured through the central console, and then it manages the whole life cycle around it, and that gives you a lot more ability to really get much confidence in terms of what you deploy, as well as get measurements in terms of whether it's working or not working, and can you roll back or make changes, or do you really need to bring human in the loop as well, depending on how the systems are working for you. So security has to be built in as part of the core product, but then you also have to go and monitor and manage that across all the different deployments you've had. And the proliferation today is pretty large, not just by IT, but every other department. So auto-discovering and tracking and managing that becomes a very, very critical job. And that's what we do today with a lot of the deployments across every enterprise.
We often like to talk about the successes and what has worked across different industries and across different businesses and in certain businesses. But I'm curious if any of you three have examples of when you've had an idea, or somebody on your team has had an idea of a deployment of a technology, Gen AI or some sort of AI adjacent technology, and it didn't work.
I can give an example that ties back to the recruiting piece. AI isn't for everybody or every job. And so there are certain jobs that AI is super helpful for to help speed up interviews. They're, fast-paced interviews, lots of volume, same questions that make sense for that type of job. And then there are other jobs that have different nuance and require that nuance of a human to care for that, either screening or first-round interview. And so we learned that it's not one size fits all. and that we have to be thoughtful about that. I think the other thing I would add is with any type of generative AI, you have to, and we talked about this a few minutes ago on the last panel, you have to teach it and you have to get in there with it and help it learn. And so I think, we thought it would be a kind of a cure-all when we threw it out there and we said these are the skills we want to rank the highest. And when we get back, we realize, sometimes our prompts aren't working, or sometimes what we thought was a prompt is actually not giving us the results we need, and we have to fix that. So
I'll give you two fun examples. Like many of you probably have, we created United GPT. You take a version of GPT, you put it in-house, it doesn't go back out to the internet, you encourage everybody to use it. And that's part of a change management strategy, but also giving your employees, the tools to try it out for themselves. And we were seeing really low adoption rates. So we told everybody they could use it to write their self-assessment at the year-end performance cycle. It went up like 425% in adoption. So that was one, and it's just how you tell the story. The second one is, I mentioned earlier, those text messages we send when you're delayed. When we were starting to implement Gen AI in those, and we were testing it before we went live, we were going through, I think, what a lot of people go through, where you're like, oh, no, don't say that word. No, instead of this word, say that word. No, don't say pilot, say crew. Like, you could go down the list of things, and it actually was getting worse. And so we called one of our partners and said, we're still learning how to do this. Can you help us? And they explained it very simply. They said it can be very much like a person. If someone says to you, Stacey, don't do that, do this though, instead of this, do that, and your list is long enough, you're going to get confused. And so will this technology. And so we had to make some choices, and we had to structure the things that we did want to change in the model.
Well, everyone still thinks it's weird that I say please to Chat GPT.
No, actually, I think I've heard, I wish I had a metric or a source, so I won't take credit for it. You get better results if you're polite to it.
Well, that's not fair.
Well, and I think that you've just, helped us all with the change management
like
for adoption, too.
And real life.
In your example, if you want adoption, push out a tool to support everyone's favorite process mid-year and year-end, and you'll get a heck of a lot of adoption if you make it easy for them.
Well, and the neat thing with that was, when I asked some of my team members, what do you think? They said, I actually spent more time talking to my manager about next steps and growth and development plans versus trying to write a term paper about my performance, and that's not my strength.
I'll just add one.
Yeah, go ahead, Amit.
The one which we saw a big problem with a few years ago was voice-based. Just getting AI to work with voice and casual conversation, and then you had to kind of take your time to see the technology evolve to something which you can use today. But early days, a lot of excitement was there, a lot of things rolled out, and it failed miserably initially.
Amit, do you think we're overselling, overhyping? We have too much confidence in this technology and what it will do?
I think the technology is definitely here, and it does make a difference. In terms of what use cases make sense is where we need to be very careful about. And I think having a complete solution where it can solve a proper end-to-end problem, identifying that, there is a great ROI on that one. But trying to do it for everything, I think that's a problem we run into sometimes. So I don't think there's going to be an issue with the technology. It's just a matter of how do you adopt it and when do you kind of go face it. I don't think it's overhyped right now.
Whenever you think there's too much hype, just picture Stacey Wronkowski at 16 with her grandma, I think it was web crawler at the time, searching for that apple pie. And I said it doesn't work like that. And everything that's happened.
Yeah, I mean, my dream when I graduated from college was to find some sort of search that could find that I could tell what's in my fridge and give me a recipe. And that's table stakes now. So it's like the same era. I still can't cook. That's the issue.
And we thought it was all hype back then.
We did. Christina, I want to give you the last word here. If we're sitting here 5 years from now, and you're in this job at Verizon, what's going to be the biggest breakthrough that this technology has brought to you?
I think the biggest breakthrough is getting people to their fullest potential faster.
So you see it as complementing us?
I think it's an enabler of kind of harnessing the power of the people in a faster, more individualized way.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank all of you for joining us this afternoon here in Atlanta.